Syracuse-Rutgers. It's going down in Piscataway this weekend. Welcome to the Citrus TV studios for Cuse Countdown with Russ Reed and Cory Crockett. I'm Ben Fontana, and guys, this week it's the 2-3 Orange versus the 5-0 Scarlet Knights. Rutgers usually an easy win, but this year not so much.
I don't think so. I don't think Rutgers has been this exciting on the national scale, guys, since they had the likes of Mike Teal, Ray Rice, and Brian Leonard on the offense. But this year, it's the defense getting it done.
Absolutely. I'm interested to see how far head coach Kyle Flood can take this team with a perfect start.
Well, it should be a great matchup, but before we go even further in depth about this matchup, let's take a look back at SU's 14-13 win over Pittsburgh last weekend with the kickoff. Defense was the name of the game for the Orange against the Panthers. First, Dyshawn Davis had a 52-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown, and to add to that, Brandon Sharp had 4 sacks. But the Pitt game can also be remembered for the debut of the tank package on offense. Llewellyn Coker came in as the fullback for an Adonis Amin Moore 1-yard touchdown run, but his mindset was defense.
I think it's good to have a defensive mentality, like on the offensive side, because defense, you just want to attack, hit everything that move, and just play. There's no holding back really as much on offense. I can't speak for Adrian Peterson. He got that defensive mentality. He just go attack anything that, if you're trying to tackle him, he's going to attack you first. So I think that's the same thing as me.
As we welcome back Russ and Cory, guys, we heard what Llewellyn said, but looking at this Syracuse team, an offense that put up 41 points in the opening game against Northwestern kind of slowed it down a bit, coming up big on defense last week. So at its core, is this Syracuse team more of a defensive squad?
I'm not sure if it's more of a defensive squad because, like Ben said, we've just seen an eclectic mix so far from the Orange. I think the Orange is a team that'll do whatever it takes to win games, whether it's the defense stepping up like it did against Pitt last week or having to put the ball up in the air and to score 50 points. I don't think it's matter. I think Doug Marone's going to do what it takes to win.
Absolutely. I think the Orange has struggled to put together a complete game offensively and defensively in the past, and at this point now they're trying something new, and I think defensively it's an opportunity for the Orange to grow.
And especially against a tough Rutgers team. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, the main point of concern for SU going into that game against Pitt was the red zone offense. However, the Cuse reversed the trend, punching it in with that Adonis Amin Moore 1-yard touchdown run I talked about earlier on its opening drive. So with that, Syracuse is now ranked 68th nationally in red zone offense, converting on 16 out of 20 tries this season. Offensive coordinator Nate Hackett implemented the new game plan the bye week, and he says expect to see a lot more of it.
Without a doubt, those guys, they really showed how physical they can be. Llewellyn Coker, I would not like to hit him. He runs down the field on special teams, and it's a great role for him on the offense. And he was real physical. He got after people, and we need to keep putting him out there.
Now, looking at that Pitt game, there was only one offensive touchdown for Syracuse with that Amin Moore punch-in. But Russ and Cory, what are the odds that Syracuse against Rutgers even gets close to the 20-yard line?
I'm not sure if the odds are very good because the Rutgers defense is solid, but I do like SU's chances better than most because they can move the ball through the air pretty well. They've got some good receivers. Rutgers usually employs sort of man coverage technique, and maybe they'll gain some yards.
You know, it's been a point to work on for Doug Marone and his defense and his offense, both in the goal line on both sides of the ball. So if they can get there, it's scoring that's going to be important for that team. So if they can get there with Nassib passing the ball, that's going to be a great opportunity.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of trends to look forward to this weekend. So now let's get to meet this Rutgers squad. 5-0, 20th in the nation. First, it all starts with the quarterback, Gary Nova. He's a veteran guy, and he hasn't thrown an interception in his last 3 games, Russ.
Exactly. What you can expect out of Gary Nova, guys, is efficiency. Flat-out efficiency. 9 TDs, 2 interceptions on the season. And Arkansas tried to make him beat him at Fayetteville. He did just that, throwing 5 TDs and for over 375 yards. I mean, this guy was a machine. He doesn't make mistakes.
And now, looking still on the offense here, we look at the running back for Rutgers, Jawan Jamison. This is a guy who they tout as the next Ray Rice. He's had over 100 yards in every game this season. Cory, what can we expect out of him?
That's kind of a big name to throw Ray Rice in there, but at the same time, Jamison is the core of this run-based defense. He's an animal. He's got 601 yards, averages 4.6 yards a carry, but the big thing about this guy is his speed and his ability to move his feet. He jukes in ways that people only dream of in Madden with the right thumbstick, so watch out for this guy against the Cuse defense.
Now switching it over to the defensive side, we talked about the Cuse defense a little bit earlier, but now about the Rutgers defense, Russ, you said that they're scary. What about Kasim Green, the linebacker that makes this Rutgers D so scary?
Well, I mean, I think Kasim Green is scary because, you don't expect many guys at the weak side linebacker position to be the heart and soul of the defense. Usually look for a middle linebacker to do it, but Kasim Green does everything. Just under 10 tackles a game, that's second best in the Big East so far this season. He's gotten 2 sacks already, gotten his hands in on D on some passes, and picked off some balls.
Now to the guy who runs the whole ship for Rutgers, their head coach, Kyle Flood, comes into the position after Greg Schiano leaves for the NFL and is now the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what is Kyle Flood all about, Corey?
Well, the thing about Kyle Flood is when he first started at Rutgers, there was some mixed emotions by the fan bases. What's this guy going to bring to the table? This is the only FBS team he's coached at. He's been at Rutgers for 7 years, but he's worked with the offensive line for a while and produced the 11th overall pick with Anthony Davis in 2010, which is the highest Rutgers draft pick that they've ever seen in school history. So at 5-0, you got to expect that Rutgers fan base is pretty happy right now.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a pretty tough Rutgers squad from what you guys have told me so far. So if we're looking at one guy or maybe one unit or one something, an X factor for this game, what would it be?
I think the X factor's got to be Ryan Nassib for the Orange at the quarterback position. I think, flat out, he played awful last week against Pitt. He looked like he took a step back during the bye week, which I think is a bad sign for a quarterback. And Rutgers is going to bring the pressure on him. They're going to challenge him. They're going to challenge him to beat their one-on-one coverage with their very good cornerback and defensive back core. And it's going to be key for Ryan Nassib not to make mistakes, not to give Rutgers extra opportunities and Jawan Jamison to run down that clock.
I think this game is going to be a game of field position. So my X factor is the special teams for both squads. Neither of them are particularly good on special teams, especially Syracuse. They rank dead last in the Big East in both punting and punt returns. A guy like Ross Krautman, the SU kicker, has declined in production year by year. When he first started in 2010 as a freshman, he was kicking nearly 95%. This season, down to 57%. On the Rutgers side, injuries are plaguing their special teams with a potential tweak in their kicker's hip. So special teams might be the difference. It might not be a win or a loss, but depending on where they can get the ball, it's an important factor.
Well, I mean, if this Rutgers game is anything like the Pittsburgh game inside the Dome, then I'm sure field position will play a huge part. Finally, guys, everyone wants to know who you got.
I got Rutgers in this one, 14-10, another defensive game. Scoring is going to be a struggle, and I think the top 5 defense in the nation that Rutgers will prevail.
I agree. I think it's going to be tough for the Orange. I've got Rutgers 21-17. It's going to be difficult to stop Gary Nova, Jawan Jamison. That entire offensive core, it's not going to be easy. I've got Rutgers in this one.
Oh, Syracuse-Rutgers should be a good one. For everything about this SU football team, follow Citrus TV Sports and Cuse Countdown on Twitter, at Citrus TV Sports and at Cuse Countdown. And if you want to see some pictures, go to Instagram, at Citrus TV Sports, for pictures from the games we cover at home and on the road, and like us on Facebook, of course. Once again, it's Syracuse and number 20 Rutgers Saturday in a Big East showdown. For Cory Crockett and Russ Reed, I'm Ben Fontana. Follow us along as we live tweet the contest and enjoy the game, Syracuse.